The Honda CB200X. Well, it's been a long time since Honda has launched a different approach bike in their regular showrooms, and the CB200X is a very welcome one in that perspective. Well, it's because this is an adventure style bike which actually takes inspiration from Honda's bigger and meaner adventure bike, which is the CB500X. So, just at a glance, if you're a fan of the CB500X, well, this is a bike that will bring smiles. But here to keep the cost controlled and also at the same time to offer a good experience, Honda has used the Hornet 2.0 as the center stage for this CB200X. Majority of the core elements are similar to the Hornet 2.0, but then Honda did make the necessary changes to make the CB200X a somewhat off-road adventure bike. And given the fact that the pricing difference is not massive, well, I think Honda has done a pretty decent job. Now by this I'm not stating to get this bike over the Hornet 2.0, but on the other hand, what I meant is that if you love adventure style design and also you're into a bit of off-roading, well then this is surely the one to go for. But if you don't need such things, well then by saving approximately 10,000 Indian rupees in the ex-showroom pricing, you're actually not missing much in terms of the core experience. And by the way, if you're in Kollam, Kerala and you want to know the on-road pricing, make a booking, or even if you want to do a test ride of any Honda scooters or bikes, well you can contact Vahini Honda, who is the authorized dealer in Kollam. Now coming back to the CB200X, well the first notable change is obviously the visual appeal, and that's because of the fairing added. At a glance, the bike does stand tall and also there is attitude to the look. It's more like a ready to ride through any condition setup, and I do like it. In fact, in comparison to the Hornet 2.0 based on the visual appeal, I'm into the CB200X. Now this semi-fairing looks neat and also is made of great quality fiber, and the way it blends into the 12-liter tank is seamless. Now the tank and the fairing does have this elegant graphics, and this 200X branding and the chrome 3D Honda logo is all adding up to that look. And in fact, this curve is very ergonomic for rides, and that's always what matters the most. And while moving to the front, well that's where things get more interesting. The LED headlight is actually the similar style one seen in the Hornet 2.0, but here this tall wind visor which has a smoked effect is totally changing the way the bike looks, and here also this one is great in terms of functionality. Well, it's because it does give a more aerodynamic effect, and while cruising, it's a great help for the rider from the wind blast. And here on top of this, the knuckle cover with LED winkers is surely sleek looking, and actually from the front and side, the golden upside down fork suspension is stylish, and also it provides great support for the ride. And now while we switch to the other side, well the handlebar is the race type one, and it's a wider one which makes the riding posture a perfectly upright one, and also this type of a handle design is inspired from high-end bikes, and here this also does give more overall strength, which surely helps with off-roading. And here for the switch controls offered, well you get all the needed ones like the dim, bright and pass light toggle, indicator control, horn, SR toggle, engine kill switch, and also the self start switch. Well these are all the switch controls that's necessary, and here the quality of these switches are also really good. Now from here, if we check the rear section of the bike, well it's a spot which does remind us that the core design is a sheer Hornet inspiration, because this X-style taillight with split grab bars are Hornet's iconic design elements. But then the rear tire is the tough thread pattern tire, which is a 140 mm thick tire which is fitted to a 17-inch rim, and here this tire pattern is more grippy, and this is a helping aid while we take the bike into a muddy terrain. But then both the front and rear tires measurement are the exact same as we get with the Hornet 2.0, and for your reference, the front tire is a 110 mm thick tire, and here both these tires are tubeless ones. And here another similar area is the speedo console. The CB200X, like the Hornet 2.0, gets a fully digital liquid crystal meter which has excellent readability, and here this console does show much needed information. Then there is an undercard in the CB200X which looks very similar to the one provided in the Hornet 2.0, and here even the split seat setup matches to the one offered in the Hornet 2.0. Well that's the core theme, and that's something that was expected because the CB200X is done on the wheelbase of the Hornet. But like I said, Honda did changes that matters to make this bike a more adventure style one, and that's very much noticeable while we take the CB200X for a ride. The first time I hopped in, I was very much amazed by the difference in the riding posture. It's more upright, and this setting was much more stress-free for longer and tougher rides. Now the seat height is 810 mm and it's on the higher side, but still for me it was perfectly fine. Both my legs did reach the ground without issues, and I feel for riders with height in the 5 feet 7 inches to 6 feet 2 inches range, they shouldn't face any issues. And as a reference for you, well, my height is 5 feet 10 inches. Now the sitting and ergonomics are all great, and actually the comfort part is also really impressive. The CB200X gets Hornet suspensions, which are actually of moderate stiffness, and this suspension combo is an ideal one for highway rides, city rides, and also it does work well in rough terrains too. Now the CB200X is not a 100% off-road type bike, but then after my testing, I would state the CB200X as a daily use bike which can do occasional off-roading. And I feel that's the standout part of the CB200X. It's competing against the likes of the Hero X-Pulse 200, but then here the advantage of the CB200X is that it's more of an all-rounder bike. And here the reason why I made this statement is because of the engine used in the CB200X. It's the exact same engine that's being used in the Hornet 2.0, and if you recall my Hornet 2.0 review, I was thoroughly impressed by the Hornet 2.0. And here since the CB200X gets the exact same 184.4cc 4-stroke air-cooled PGMFI engine, I loved the way the engine responded. The tuning done is more of bringing the torque in the higher number with good power output for the segment, and here because of the higher torque, the engine's response to throttle was kinda abrupt. But even by setting like this, Honda's core DNA is very much kept intact because as the gear number increases and when it reaches the top gear, which is the 5th gear, well then the bike's power evens out to give a more smooth and calm ride. I think this kind of tuning is Honda's trademark, and I totally love it. Honda engine's refinement is always a key thing to highlight, and here with the CB200X, that refinement makes the ride more enjoyable. And as I stated, let it be a ride through highway or city traffic, or even if it's through worse conditions, you'll surely enjoy every bit of the ride. And here if you're worried about the heat dissipation, well after my testing, I can without any doubt state that there was no such issues. And talking about issues, well the ground clearance is the same as with the Hornet 2.0, which means it's 167 mm and it's totally fine for regular rides, but if you plan to do some extreme off-roading, well then you'll have to be a bit careful. But actually that extreme scenario is not what this bike is designed for, because here the core ideology is different, and that's even noticeable with the brakes offered. It's a single channel ABS system where the front and the back brake used is disc, in which the front is a 276 mm disc brake and the rear brake is a 220 mm disc brake. And here to be frank, this brake combo did a great job. Don't get concerned by this single channel ABS part because here the brakes did respond well, and even through some tough scenarios, the tire gripping and the brakes did make the ride safe. I mean the bike did stay in control through such conditions, and also the CB200X did felt to be a bit more stable bike than the Hornet 2.0, and I think it might be because of the slightly more mass. And with the Hornet 2.0, the scenario that I tested was kind of a wet riding condition, and in that, the Hornet 2.0's brakes performed perfectly well. And here, even though with the CB200X the testing scenario was kind of different and dry, I feel the CB200X should do the same even in wet conditions. And by the way about the split seat used, well it's comfortable for long rides, but then at times you might need to take a halt. And also if you're wondering about the mileage, well after testing a rough number that we got was in the 43 km per liter range, and actually that's a great number for a bike in this segment. And here if you're wondering about the color choices offered, well it's 3 which are silver, red and black. And out of the 3, my favorite is the black one. And here one last thing to note is that the tougher alloy wheels used in the CB200X did handle moderate level stress, and it's a plus point for rough riding. Well I guess that's everything about the new Honda CB200X. And after testing this bike, I feel that Honda didn't disappoint. It's a bit more pricey than the Hornet 2.0, but that was expected, and here for this price cap, you are getting some strong improvements both in functionality and also appeal. And as I stated in the beginning, if you are a rider looking for such kind of a semi-adventure style bike, which can also work like a regular daily commuter bike, well then surely go for the CB200X, else save the extra cost and get the Hornet 2.0. And personally from my side, well from this too, I'll lean towards the CB200X for the fresher design and also because of the added bonus of that occasional off-roading. That's all for this video guys, hope you liked it. If so, a like is much appreciated, and also please don't forget to subscribe to the channel because it does help our channel a lot and you won't miss our future videos. See you again in the next one, till then bye, and always ride safe.